When the first ambulance siren was heard, the night shift at City General Hospital was quietly continuing. Night shift nurse Lisa Clark, 33 years old, was organizing the discharge papers of her last patient when she turned up the volume on the ambulance radio. Code red, multi-vehicle collision, I-95 highway mile marker 47, at least 12 injured severe trauma cases. All units respond immediately. When Lisa raised her head, the expression on her face changed. This wasn't an ordinary accident. The on-call doctor, Dr. Williams, approached in panic. "Lisa, this is huge. ICU isn't ready. Surgeons are at home. Anesthesia team is short-staffed." But Lisa was already in motion. Because those sounds weren't foreign to her, and in the next 2 hours, everyone at the hospital would learn who Lisa Clark really was. Because some people wear nursing uniforms, but come from battlefields. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before diving into this incredible story, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Lisa Clark was City General Hospital's most reliable night shift nurse. At 33 years old, she had been working at the same institution for 3 years. She never missed her shifts, kept patient records meticulously, and maintained her composure even in the most stressful moments. Lisa, who kept her red hair in a practical ponytail, gave confidence to patients with her compassionate approach and earned the respect of the entire team with her professional demeanor. Lisa's colleagues consisted of nurse coordinator Nancy Foster and night doctor Dr. Williams. Nancy was a 38-year-old experienced nurse who knew the difficulties of night shifts with 7 years of experience. Dr. Williams was a talented 35-year-old doctor who had been covering night shifts at City General for 5 years. But Lisa drew a different profile from both of them. Lisa's medical knowledge level was far above standard nursing education. In critical situations, while others followed routine procedures, she could make much more comprehensive evaluations. How can you analyze in such detail? They would wonder. You learn over time, Lisa would say briefly and clearly. But this learning process hadn't come from ordinary places at all. Lisa's equipment approach was distinctly different from her colleagues. She would check every device with military discipline, reviewing medical instruments, monitors, and emergency response kits as if she were preparing for a vital operation. Sometimes others found this meticulousness excessive. "We're just nurses, Lisa, not special forces," they would joke. Lisa would smile and not respond. She actually knew that both sides were wrong. Lisa's emergency management skills would amaze even the head nurse. "Where did you gain this leadership ability?" she would be questioned. "From experience," Lisa would answer, always vague, never going into details. And these experiences lay in sources completely different from a normal nursing career. Lisa Clark had joined the Army at 19. But why? It wasn't family tradition. It wasn't economic necessity. It was something else. Lisa had lost her mother to an unexpected heart attack at a young age. Her 41-year-old mother, Susan, had suffered a sudden cardiac arrest at home, and medical intervention couldn't reach her in time. Lisa was only 17 years old. That day, she made a promise to herself. "I will get the best emergency medical training. No one will be lost to sudden situations like my mother." When she joined the Army, she chose the medic program. After basic military training, she was selected for special training, combat medic training, the world's most challenging emergency medicine program. But this was just the beginning. The real specialist training was yet to come. Special Operations Medical Training, an 8-month intensive training program. Emergency medicine in war conditions, life-saving with limited equipment, advanced life support for critical patients. Lisa was selected for the top 5%, and this training would be very useful at the hospital that night. Combat medic training had taught Lisa never to give up even under the most difficult conditions. Minimum equipment, maximum effort, giving every patient equal chance. This had become her life philosophy. The most difficult part of her training was long-term resuscitation operations. performing continuous chest compressions for 20 to 30 minutes in cardiac arrest cases, providing advanced life support with basic equipment, and having to develop improvised medical techniques. Lisa had developed superior abilities in this area. In her first assignment, she was with the forward surgical team in Afghanistan. Emergency medicine in war conditions, missions to keep soldiers injured by bombs alive for hours. Lisa's most difficult intervention was keeping a soldier with multiple explosive injuries alive for 45 minutes. His heart had stopped 3 times, and 3 times it was brought back by Lisa's hands. Lisa had taught herself never to give up, even in the most hopeless cases. Minimum equipment, limited time, maximum effort. Her hands had become life machines, and these abilities would save lives at the hospital that night. Her third assignment was classified operations on the Syrian border. Medical support in secret missions, keeping elite units healthy, emergency intervention in high-risk areas. Lisa had now gained expert-level competence in all kinds of medical crises. But most importantly, she had never allowed any situation to stop resuscitation efforts. For 11 years, Lisa had successfully completed 127 critical resuscitation cases, never abandoning any due to time pressure. So why had she left the Army to become a nurse? This story was more complex. PTSD, adjustment problems, civilian life challenges. Lisa's transition hadn't been easy. High-stress medical work felt comfortable, but civilian bureaucracy was different, and this experience would explode at the hospital that night. After receiving an honorable discharge in 2021, Lisa had transitioned to the civilian healthcare sector. She had used PTSD therapy, adjustment counseling, and career transition support. Hospital nursing had been a perfect fit. It reminded her why she had become a combat medic, helping people in danger. The hospital environment was a predictable routine after years of chaos. Peace was welcome. When City General Hospital hired her, Lisa was overqualified. Nursing degree, 11 years of military medical experience, combat medic training. But the hiring committee didn't ask detailed questions. They were happy to find a qualified candidate. "I've always loved helping people heal," Lisa had said, and this time she was genuinely sincere. Daily work was simple compared to combat medicine: patient care, medication administration, routine checks. But Lisa was doing much more. She evaluated every situation with combat medic eyes. She identified potential emergencies in advance. She predicted how patient conditions could deteriorate. "Lisa, how do you know emergency management so well?" her colleague Nancy would say. "Observation," Lisa would say. "Every patient is educational." This observation came from 11 years of combat medicine training. That Tuesday night, the usual night shift at City General had begun quietly. Routine cases in the emergency room, stable patients in internal medicine. Lisa was on duty in the main nursing unit and was monitoring 12 patients. "Lisa," the dispatch center had said, "there's news of a major traffic accident. Be prepared." "Understood," Lisa had replied. "We're checking all equipment." Lisa, Nancy, and Dr. Williams had completed final checks, reviewed emergency intervention protocols. They needed to be ready for multiple trauma cases. The radio announcement came. 12 trauma patients being directed to City General. ETA 15 minutes. There are critical cases. "This is big," Dr. Williams said anxiously. "Can we handle so many cases during the night shift?" "We can," Lisa said decisively. "We're ready." Lisa's body immediately went into high alert. This wasn't just the preparation of a routine night shift nurse. It was the automatic combat mode of someone who had conducted life-saving operations under the most difficult combat conditions. Ambulances began arriving one after another. The first patient was 28-year-old David Johnson. Multiple trauma, internal bleeding, signs of shock. Lisa immediately applied triage. "This patient is priority," Lisa said. "Prepare for the operating room." The second patient was more critical. 45-year-old Susan Williams, chest trauma and respiratory distress. "Nancy, oxygen support," Lisa said. "Dr. Williams, chest X-ray needed." The third patient would test all of Lisa's experience. The third patient who came with the ambulance, 52-year-old Robert Thompson, arrived in a condition that would require all of Lisa's 11 years of combat medic experience. Cardiac arrest following multiple trauma. The moment they brought the patient's stretcher into the emergency intervention room, Lisa checked for a pulse. There was no pulse. "Cardiac arrest!" Lisa shouted, "starting resuscitation immediately." Dr. Williams and Nancy immediately took position. Standard advanced cardiac life support protocol. But Lisa noticed something different. Robert's injury pattern, vital signs, were very similar to cases Lisa had seen on the battlefield. This wasn't an ordinary cardiac arrest. "This is traumatic arrest," Lisa said. "Standard protocol won't be enough." Dr. Williams was surprised. "Lisa, how can you speak so confidently?" Lisa's answer would shock both Nancy and Dr. Williams. "I've seen this injury pattern before," Lisa said as she began chest compressions. "In traumatic arrest cases, standard resuscitation isn't enough." Lisa's hands began working on Robert's chest like they had on the battlefield. 11 years of experience had kicked in. 1 minute passed, no pulse. 2 minutes passed. Lisa continued chest compressions. 3 minutes passed. Dr. Williams prepared epinephrine. "Lisa, maybe another nurse should take over," Nancy said anxiously. "No," Lisa said decisively. "I'm continuing." Lisa's hands were positioned on Robert's chest. Her 11 years of combat medic experience had kicked in. This wasn't just chest compressions. This was a battle for life. The first minute began with Lisa's mechanical rhythm. 30 compressions, 2 breaths, she said as her hands pressed on the chest cage. Robert's body shook, but nothing appeared on the pulse monitor. "No pulse," Dr. Williams reported. "Continue," Lisa said as sweat drops began to appear on her forehead. By the 3rd minute, Lisa's breathing began to accelerate, but her hands never stopped for a single second. She remembered that first case in Afghanistan. The 19-year-old soldier had come back after 12 minutes of chest compressions. "Prepare epinephrine," Lisa said as Nancy prepared the injection, her hands continuing to work like a machine. At 5 minutes, Nancy said anxiously, "Lisa, let's switch." "No," Lisa's voice was determined. "I know what this case needs." Dr. Williams looked at Lisa, seeing something in this nurse's eyes he had never seen before. Warrior determination. 8 minutes in, Lisa's scrubs were beginning to get soaked with sweat, but her hands never slowed down. Every compression was perfect, every rhythm calculated. "If my heart stopped, would you do this for me too?" Nancy asked anxiously. "Yes," Lisa said breathlessly, "and I would save you too." At 10 minutes, Dr. Williams's voice was worried. 10 minutes is a very long time. Standard protocol says to stop at 10 minutes. Lisa paused and turned to Dr. Williams for the first time. "Doctor, in Kandahar I did chest compressions on a soldier for 47 minutes, and I sent him home." Nancy's mouth fell open. 47 minutes? "Yes, and this man is going home too." By 12 minutes, Lisa's hands were now on autopilot, every compression at exactly the same depth, the same speed. Combat medic training had kicked in. "Lisa," Nancy said, "how can you endure like this?" "Because I was a combat medic, and I never give up." At 15 minutes, other staff began gathering in the hospital corridor. News of the 15-minute chest compressions had spread. They had never seen anything like this before. "This is impossible," a passing doctor said. "It's possible for Lisa," Nancy replied proudly. 17 minutes in, Lisa's hands began to tremble, not from fatigue, but from adrenaline. That night in Iraq came to mind. 3 soldiers, multiple explosion, 28-minute resuscitation. She had saved all of them. "This kid won't die," Lisa murmured. "His family is waiting at home." 20 minutes had passed, and the crowd in the hospital corridor had grown. The chest compressions had become legendary. "Is this woman crazy?" a doctor murmured. "This woman is a hero," Nancy replied. At 22 minutes, Lisa's hands were working with pure muscle memory. That night in Iraq replayed in her mind. She had never given up then, and she wouldn't now. "This kid won't die," she murmured again. 23 minutes. Lisa's scrubs were completely soaked with sweat, a record-breaking time. But she wouldn't stop. Dr. Williams looked at the monitor. "Lisa, very weak, but..." And right at that moment, the sound they'd been waiting for filled the room. Beep, beep. A weak but regular rhythm appeared on the cardiac monitor. "We have a pulse," Dr. Williams shouted. Lisa's hand stopped on the chest. After 23 minutes, Robert Thompson's heart had started beating again. When Lisa lifted her hands from the chest, they were trembling. 23 minutes of continuous effort, her uniform soaked with sweat, breathing short, but a light of victory in her eyes. "Pulse is strengthening," Dr. Williams said, looking at the monitor. 60 beats per minute and rising. Robert's eyes slowly opened. His head was confused, but he was alive. "Where am I?" he murmured. Lisa leaned over. "You're safe. Your heart had stopped, but we brought it back. We fought for you for 23 minutes. Robert looked into Lisa's eyes. "You saved me." "Yes," Lisa said, smiling, "and I would do it again." Nancy touched Lisa's shoulder. "You really are a combat medic." "Staff Sergeant Lisa Clark, served 11 years, and I never lose any of my patients." Robert Thompson stabilized in intensive care. Heart functions returned to normal, no neurological damage. "Complete recovery after 23 minutes of chest compressions," said cardiologist Dr. Martinez. "This is a rarely seen success." Lisa's story spread throughout the hospital. The night shift nurse was actually a combat medic specialist. Nancy approached Lisa. "Lisa, why didn't you ever tell us?" "It wasn't necessary," Lisa replied. "I'm a nurse now." "No," Nancy shook her head. "You're a lifesaver." Hospital management had a special meeting with Lisa. Training position in the emergency medicine department was offered. "Lisa," the chief doctor said, "your experience is invaluable. Would you train other personnel?" Lisa accepted. But she never gave up her nurse identity. When Robert Thompson was discharged, he thanked Lisa. "My heart didn't stop for 23 minutes, Robert said. "Your hands became my heart." Lisa smiled. "I just did my job." Today, Lisa Clark still works at City General Hospital, both as a night shift nurse and as an emergency resuscitation trainer. Combat medic experience is being transferred to other healthcare workers. Long-term resuscitation techniques are being taught. "I stopped being a soldier," Lisa says, "but my warrior spirit never ends. Service continues, mission changes." Every time Robert Thompson comes for checkups, he tells Lisa, "Real heroes bring back even people whose hearts have stopped." Lisa's determination at the hospital that night didn't just come from medical training. It came from her determination to save people from the most difficult situations in civilian life. So I ask you, have you ever received medical care from someone like Lisa? Healthcare workers whose military background you didn't know? Where you only saw extraordinary medical ability? Share your experiences in the comments. Because here at Hidden Legends, we know that the greatest lifesavers usually serve in the most humble roles. If this story moved you, share it, subscribe, and help these important stories continue. See you in the next legend. And until then, remember, your nurse might have life-saving experiences you'll never know about. Service never ends. It just turns into heartbeats.